Hey, Blake T. Wild here. Happy holidays and welcome to the Christmas edition of what is a perfectly suitable and adequate introduction. I don't really have any Christmas clothing, and I couldn't find my Santa hat, so here I am. I am talking about a Marvel holiday special from just one of the worst periods in Marvel's history, post-Image, but just pre-bankruptcy. Released in 1995, written by Glenn Greenberg, Shawley Fish, Adam Santangelo, Eric Fine, and Carl Bollers, with art by Kevin Maguire, Bob Brown, Joshua Hood, Mike Manley, Javier Saltares, and Chris Gardner. This is Spider-Man's 1995 Holiday Special. Oh, damn it! It's Ben Reilly, Spider-Man. Oh god, I forgot that we're right in the middle, dead middle, of the Clone Saga. It's still gonna be going on for a whole year at this point in time. Oh, this is a Christmas disaster! Anyway, Ben Reilly, Spider-Man, stops a group of thugs from mugging a man and a woman on their way home from the shops. His dialogue actually sounds quite a bit like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, oddly enough. At least I think so. Back off! I ain't afraid of being the guy who killed Spider-Man. A gun? Oh dear, what am I to do? I mean, it's not like I've ever faced down a gun before. Ah, my hand! My fist! Right? Like, doesn't that just seem like a scene that you'd see in one of the Amazing Spider-Man films? It's kind of like that part where he comes across a mugger in a parking lot or something, and he's doing this whole shtick routine with them. Continuing on, Ben Reilly helps the couple pick up their belongings, and the woman tells Spider-Man to have a happy holidays to both he and his loved ones. And then Ben is like,
That was a particularly harrowing memory.
oh, boo-hoo, poor Ben Reilly. He has to deal with Aunt May being dead, and the fact that he has to deal with his identity as being a clone of Spider-Man, but real Spider-Man isn't here, and Ben Reilly doesn't have any of his loved ones or friends because he can't pretend to be Spider-Man Peter Parker anymore. Oh no, he has nobody left on Quishmish. Then he notices a woman jump off of a bridge. And according to the way that Marvel clones work, this should instantly give him the memory of Gwen dying. But it doesn't. He expertly catches the jumper, and when they land, she screams at Spider-Man that she didn't want to be saved because she has no reason to live. She has nothing in her life, no friends, no family, and she's getting evicted from her apartment. Ben thinks that her story sounds awfully familiar to his own, and then thinks that it sounds like when he first thought he was a clone? What? What do you mean? You are a clone, you blonde-haired dolt. Oh god, is this the part where Marvel was trying to make people think that Ben Reilly was actually the real Peter Parker, and Peter Parker that we'd been following was the clone? God, I hate the Clone Saga so much. Spider-Man asks her name. It's Jenny Sheridan, not related to the hotels. You know, the one that's spelled completely differently. And then invites her out for a night on the town together. I know that it's a short story in an anthology, but this whole first story could have been a great way to humanize Ben Reilly. Because, you know, he's a disgusting clone. By, showing him interacting with and spending the night with Jenny. And, showing her that, life's worth living kind of thing. Stuff like that. Like a whole It's a Wonderful Life-esque storyline or something. But instead, it's relegated to one page of Ben Reilly in a pose that is clearly inspired by Todd McFarlane, and a montage of landmarks around New York. And the next fucking page in this holiday Christmas comic has this on it! And Ben Reilly shouting, "It looks like there's a riot going on!" This is an idiot named Scorcher, who has the exact powers that you would suspect he does. And he's also kind of the equivalent to the Chameleon to normal Spider-Man, because this is the first supervillain that Ben Reilly ever faced. And he's come to the mall to burn stuff and steal money. Spider-Man drops Jenny to the ground and then runs his way through the crowd instead of, swinging over top of him. They fight for a bit as Scorcher just ruins the buildings around this mall, and meanwhile there's just some homeless guy walking around asking for spare change. Is he blind? Is he deaf? Is he both? We'll never know. Never bothers to come up. Unfortunately for this ambiguously crippled homeless man, an abstract piece of pipes or a building or signage has caught fire and begins to fall. Jenny realizes that the bum can't hear her and races to save him. Tackles him, but is seemingly crushed beneath the flaming metal thing. And Ben screams, "Scorcher! This ends now!" Then Ben Reilly, having webbed up his hands for some reason. There's no explanation for it. Why? What is he doing? Scorcher says that he can burn through the webbing, quote, like it was cotton, end quote. So what's that about? And he does it off screen too. It's never explained. There's no dialogue regarding the fact that he now has webbed up both of his hands. Is it supposed to be something else? Like, is it supposed to show that his suit has been burnt and the colorist was just like, oh, that's webbing? Because it doesn't look burnt. It looks like it's webbing. Anyway, Ben grabs Scorcher by the wrists and just crushes this dude's fucking forearms where he has his wrist-mounted flamethrowers. Then Scorcher falls to the ground because the bones in his forearms and all the muscles and ligaments are completely broken and burnt up. And then Jenny and that fucking homeless guy show back up, and they make no reference to the fact that she almost died. Just that Spider-Man thinks it's incredible that she saved that random guy, and asks her if she still thinks that she can't make a difference in the world. Then they hug, and Spider-Man tells her that a human being is alive because of her, and she can make a difference in the world. As Spider-Man webs up Scorcher, Jenny tells him that she's gonna take this guy to a homeless shelter, and even start volunteering. Spider-Man asks if she's okay, and she says that her situation hasn't changed at all, but now she knows that she wants to make sure that her life counts for something. And I guess she's going to the homeless shelter to, you know, both take that guy there, and also probably to scope it out for the best room, because don't forget, she is still getting evicted. Anyway, Spider-Man tells her good luck and that he needs to continue swinging around the city looking for more supervillains to fight, and wishes her a Merry Christmas, and flamboyantly swings away. Doesn't that just look odd? It's like, it's just the pose. It just looks so much like a stereotypical sexy woman pose that they put Ben in, and I just love this panel so much. And we even see a pose that looks almost like this one in the next story, which begins right now. The Cat Who Stole Christmas. At a warehouse that contains both wooden crates and cardboard boxes, Black Cat, with a horrible concave chest, looks through a sack of presents. This is also a silent story, I feel I should point out. Silent Night, I guess, it was probably the whole crux of that idea. It's also Christmas Eve, so it's taking place on the same night as the first story. Then this group of 90s idiots who MarvelFandom.com describes as thieves, 2 males, 1 girl, walk up with a newspaper discussing how toys were stolen from an orphanage, and it also has a photo of Spider-Man in his old suit. So I guess this story takes place in the past? Or is it just an old photo? Because it's not exactly like Ben is going around supplying the Daily Bugle with headshot photos of himself as Spider-Man, like Peter did. Black Cat hears the thieves, 2 males, 1 girl, coming up, and quickly makes her way out of the warehouse. Just in time, too, because the police pull up on this gang of armed thieves, 2 males, 1 girl, who stole presents from an orphanage! And no doubt did they get into a shootout after this. Later, Black Cat climbs through a chimney with a sack of presents, and a few minutes later climbs back out and leaps away from the Noel County Orphanage. And then she swings away in a sexy woman pose. Alright, here we go, the story that this video is named after. Another blonde dolt named Eddie Brock, aka Venom, the alien monster that cracks wise in between eating brains and protecting a colony of people in an antique town that is located underneath San Francisco, stands above Santa Claus. But it's not what you think. Eddie shifts back into his venomized winter attire as he helps the Santa up from the ground. Eddie asks what happened, and the Santa explains that he was jumped by a gang of ruffians. The sidewalk Santa tells him that they've been terrorizing the area for a while now, and he's not the first victim, nor will he be the last. And then he walks away. But before he leaves, Eddie stops him and reveals that he has a plan. In a panel that's actually a really cool adaptation of the classic Spider-Man panel. The next night, Christmas Eve, Santa stands out on the corner ringing his bell when this fucking dude rocks up and shouts in his face with a megaphone that the Christmas spirit is dead and that people shouldn't be giving him his money. And if you haven't figured it out by those giant eyebrows, this is Eddie dressed as Santa, which is probably the first time in years that he's ever worn actual clothes. So Eddie grabs the guy and his megaphone and shoves it down his mouth. Oh my god. No doubt breaking the guy's teeth and jaw maybe in the process. Then he taps the guy in the head and turns and walks off when he hears a woman crying for help. Eddie runs around the corner and finds the couple being terrorized by the gang of ruffians. Eddie charges at them, but he's grabbed by the biggest guy, who does something to render Eddie unconscious, I guess. One of the guys says he wants a souvenir and tries to rip off Eddie's Santa hat, but it doesn't come off because it's the symbiote, meaning that it can make non-black and white clothes. Although now that I think about it, Venom has teeth and a tongue. Somehow, a question that I have long pondered on how the fuck does that work exactly? But it's also, you know, it's able to form like the white of the spider logo on the front and the back. Oh god, so does that mean that the red of the Santa suit is made out of the same material as Venom's tongue? Eddie stands up faster than humanly possible, and everybody freaks out, and then the symbiote transforms and makes some quips before webbing the gang members as they try to run away. The big guy whips out his gun and shoots Venom, who absorbs the bullets, laughs just horribly. Oh, why does he have ears? He has ears in both of these panels. Anyway, Venom rockets the bullets back into the guy's hand and gun, and then grabs him, and the guy says, "What are you gonna do to me?"
"Why, kill you, of course. But because it's the Christmas season, we won't make the suffering prolonged."
Then the woman that Eddie saved from being mugged, or worse, taps Venom's shoulder and says that those people are dangerous, but they belong in jail, not as rotting, brainless corpses in an alley or something. That's my issue with Venom. I've brought this up previously when I've talked about Venom, the, 2 times it's happened, I think. He's portrayed as, supposed to be this horrifying monster, right? Or at least I always have assumed that he is. But then he's just fucking swinging around making quips and never actually does anything to be an anti-hero or villainous. Where is the Immortal Venom comic series, Marvel, which can revitalize Venom from a fucking spacefaring race of alien goops, dragons, or whatever they are, and turn him into a horrible monster man who, while he still occasionally does good things, he's also a fucking, morally gray guy? You can probably do a lot if you get a good writer. You can fucking bring back the weird town under San Francisco and make it work as this horrible, dark, gothic place with this terrifying, oozing sentinel that watches over them, and nobody really knows what Venom would be, and it's oh, well, it's been years since Venom left us, and things have gone bad, but I've heard rumors that Venom's returned to our underground San Francisco city from the 1800s. Venom considers it and then agrees with her, and he says that since it's Christmas, he'll let the gang live, and then he kisses her on the cheek and warns the gang that they better not try anything like this again or else he'll be back. Then he forms a Santa hat atop his little symbiote goopy head and swings away as he sings,
"We know who's naughty, and we'll put them on ice. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout. We're telling you why. Venom Claus is coming to town. Venom Claus is coming to town. Ho, ho, ho."
I'll be honest with you, when I originally had the idea to talk about this book for Christmas, since Christmas was going to be on a Monday, which is when I usually release my videos, I had the idea to write a parody song about Venom singing a Christmas song, but his version of it. Having no idea that he actually does it in the actual fucking comic book! And with that story ending, just the worst place to go after that is this depressing tale of the Fantastic Four's mailman, Willie Lumpkin, as he visits the grave site of his former longtime girlfriend, May Parker. While he's there, he spots another woman visiting a grave of her own and talking about how much she misses whoever's lying in the dirt before her. Then he turns back and speaks to May about just how much he misses her and the time that they spent together and how lonely Christmas is because he doesn't have anybody else. Then the wind blows away the bouquet he brought for May, and Willie chases after it as well as a little old man can, and he's only able to catch one rose before he realizes that he almost ran into the woman. He apologizes and she says not to worry, then says that she heard his conversation, and she introduces herself and asks Willie how good he is at Christmas shopping. Willie says that May always bought the gifts, but he makes good company, and then the two walk out of the cemetery together as May Parker watches on from heaven. Except she isn't, because Aunt May's climactic emotional death in issue 400 of Spider-Man was retconned to be an actress hired by Norman Osborn, given facial reconstructive surgery to look exactly like Aunt May and replace her as Aunt May is imprisoned by Norman, and then the fake Aunt May was like poisoned or killed by Norman Osborn to really fuck up Spider-Man, because that's the Clone Saga. So this is meaningless. This sweet, emotional story about an old man who lost his partner, moving on from in life, but not forgetting who he was with, is just completely ruined by that fact. This episode is brought to you by my comics, specifically the Custodians Agents of Cross, which I am serializing over on my Patreon, patreon.com/smokey'svideos. It's over 60 pages of pure comics for only $15, but you can see it serialized weekly over on my Patreon for as little as $2. It is a love letter to the Silver Age filled with fun characters, crazy stories, and even fake advertisements. I'm also serializing each issue of Destructo Boy, a fun sci-fi zany epic that is fit for the whole family and follows a little robot on a giant space station as he battles crime, villainy, and giant monsters and whatever threats should arise to his home. Each weekly serialized post includes commentary and annotations on the comic. I am also posting commentary tracks for the MCU, the Snyderverse, and any movies in general over at Pop Pop Popcorn, which I will be posting a audio commentary track of any movie and a follow-up discussion video. There's also behind-the-scenes progress posts of The Custodians as I'm working on it, original art, and much more. Our final story begins on Christmas morning, and it's the most 90s looking out of all of them. Johnny Storm stands atop the Statue of Liberty and wonders why he's late. Then he creates a Spider-Man mask symbol out of flames and says that this is a lot different than last Christmas. Then we get a flashback of Johnny leaving the Baxter building. He finds Ben Grimm having gotten drunk the night before and having fallen asleep in his robe watching TV in the living room. Then Johnny flies away. And I really like this panel. It's a nice depiction of the city during winter, and I really like how the artist rendered the snow piling up in and on the Baxter building. Anyway, Johnny flies to the Statue of Liberty with his gift, where Spider-Man is already waiting for him. Johnny lands and Spidey says that he's been up here freezing his webs off. Johnny apologizes for being late, and Spidey pours him some now cold cocoa, which Johnny then heats up. And Spidey asks how Johnny's year was, and Johnny says, "Oh, it's been rough. My wife turned out to be a Skrull who died and then came back and tried to kill me, and she was pregnant, but not really, and I nearly burnt down a major university, and then my brother-in-law died, and my sister's turning into a psycho, and the woman I thought I married is in love with my best friend." Are you married? What do you mean? Of course I'm married. You know that. Oh, wait, yeah. You don't know that. Yeah, I'm married. I just don't get it. When did everything get so complicated? I remember when we'd get together and knock each other around a little bit before we'd realize we'd been tricked, and then go off and fight the fox or the lizard or whoever. It was, it was simple. Or that time that we spent Christmas fighting Sandman. To this day, I think the fact that we really trusted him enough to let him visit his mom was a big part of what made him go straight. I mean, he still escaped down her drain. Well, yeah, I didn't say it happened overnight. Listen, Johnny. I don't think I've been a very good friend. I mean, we've known each other a long time. You're probably the closest friend I've got in this business. And I've kept secrets from you, and, well, no. You think I want to see your ugly face? You don't need the hassle of people knowing who you are. And I don't need to know your name. It's enough to know that you're a friend. Here. Merry Christmas. What is that? It's a Venom doll! He even talks. Push the button on his back.
I want to eat your brains.
Oh, good. I love it. My wife's gonna love this. Here's one for you. Oh, nice. Thanks, man. Check the base. It's in case you ever need to talk. Well, I guess I'd better get going. That traffic copter looks like it's heading my way. Merry Christmas, Webs. Merry Christmas, Hothead. And back in the present, Johnny plays tic-tac-toe with himself when Spider-Man arrives on a web glider. Johnny asks his good friend what took him so long and why he changed his costume. And then Spider-Man explains that he's a clone of the real Spider-Man and reveals that the real Spider-Man left town with his wife. And he doesn't have the same phone number that he gave Johnny. Johnny then gives Spider-Man a Fantastic Four card with his phone number on and says that it's in case he ever needs to talk. Then Johnny tells him to be on time next year, and they leave, wishing each other a Merry Christmas as Spider-Man watches on from not heaven, but like Washington, I think is where he and MJ goes to. The end. I hope you enjoyed this book and this quick holiday special episode. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. Let me know if you have any recommendations on what I should be covering. What was your favorite story of this issue? Mine is 100% the Human Torch Spider-Man one. It's the best of all of them that I covered. It perfectly tells a good Spider-Man story within a story that has to have Ben Reilly. I just love the friendship between Spider-Man and Johnny. It's so great, especially because they started out hating each other, and then they just, they grew as people, and they became friends, and now they meet up every Christmas at the Statue of Liberty, exchange gifts, talk about what's going on in life. They'll, call each other sometimes. That's cool. I just really like that. I think that's something that really needs to come back, is their friendship together. Give them a 6-issue series. Why not? The Venom one is fun, and I think it is the best art of all of these. Although the Willie Lumpkin story is quite well drawn and colored and everything, I enjoyed that one. It works for what the story is telling. And it would work better as a story if Aunt May was actually dead, or actually Aunt May. The Black Cat one is very forgettable, and the first one is just pure 90s stupidity trying to masquerade as something that's better. As always, check out my Etsy for my comic books, reprints of the Custodians coming soon. That is blaketwild.etsy.com, and my Patreon, patreon.com/smokey'svideos for early access to videos when available, movie commentaries, annotations, and serializations of my comics. I post new pages of the Custodians and Destructo Boy every week. I'm also, I'll post original art there and behind-the-scenes stuff on my comics. Yeah, check them out. It really helps me out. Like, subscribe, all that, I guess. I'm going to start saying that now. Merry Christmas, Happy Boxing Day, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays. Have a nice winter if you don't celebrate anything. Stay safe, stay warm. Have a good summer if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Don't get skin cancer, I guess. I will see you next year. Bye.